Hey guys, it's lehrbehr here. Recording the audio for this round after it was done because I lost the audio file. But we're just gonna do this. I have a hand here that's definitely keepable. No reason to really mulligan this at all. Our opponent was playing red-green with arms dealer, and if you remember what our deck looked like, there's like absolutely no way we can deal with a arms dealer. Which is kind of sad, but we play out our island first because we have unsummon. And he plays out an arsonist. He also mulliganed down to 5 this game, which is important because it definitely helped us out a lot. We play welcome turn because we don't want to unsummon his goblin arsonist at all. And he's gonna swing in just for the 1. And we have no choice but to take it. Then he plays a Mog Flunkies. Here, we don't draw anything really. I'm thinking at this point in the game, I'm gonna definitely unsummon one of his creatures to save myself 4 damage. I know I did this move previously in round 2, where I unsummoned the Goblin Arsonist, but here I actually decide to unsummon the Mog Flunkies. The reason why I chose to unsummon the Mog Flunkies is because he has 3 cards in hand, and I want to keep him off of those turns as long as possible. I want to get to my Fairy Invaders. And if I unsummon the Mog Flunkies, the chances that he has 2 2-drops are unlikely, because he only played a Goblin Arsonist on turn 2. So here I was thinking, well, maybe if I unsummon the Goblin Arsonist, he can play out Arsonist and another 3-drop, which I didn't want him to do. So I wanted to make him use his mana the least efficient, like as not as efficiently as possible, if that makes any sense whatsoever. I play out the ring. I don't want him to remove it before damage, so then after I swing in, I equip the ring. He doesn't have the removal spell anyway, so it didn't really matter. But he's gonna swing in for 4 to deal 4 damage to me. I drop down to 14, and he plays out the arms dealer here. So at this point, things aren't looking great. Our welcome turn is going to grow, but he's going to outrace us at this point. Because he's going to deal 5 to us, we're going to drop down to 9, and that races us really bad. Here we drop him to 13, and then I'm thinking if we just like leave up, if we play the Crusader, it's not going to do terribly much. He'll probably just kill it with the arms dealer, and then swing in anyway for 4, dropping us down to 10, and that race is terrible. So here I actually think if I play the Fairy Invaders, he's gonna either have to remove, he can kill both of our flyers, which I realized, but he would have to sacrifice out a lot of his attacking creatures. And I felt like that was worth it to me. Because, and this may have been a misplay on my part. I actually do think it was a misplay because I think I should have probably played out the Crusader Bodric and then just passed the turn. He could have then sacrificed out Goblin Arsonist and then Mog Flunkies to kill both of my guys. Because if I give it Hexproof, it doesn't matter because so the way that would work is if he sacrifices Goblin Arsonist, targeting my welcome turn, and then deals that 1 damage to the Crusader, I give it Hexproof, and then in response to me giving it Hexproof, he sacrifices the Mog Flunkies. He'll kill the welcome turn and then kill the Crusader Bodric, because it's going to be a 1-1 after that. In any case, so I played out the Fairy Invaders, and he decides to kill both my welcome turn and the Fairy Invaders. But he had to sacrifice most of his attacking creatures to do that, so I actually didn't feel terrible about it. In any case, I play out the Crusader of Odric. I don't want to waste a save passage just to save my guy if it comes down to it. So I just equipped up the ring to give it hexproof if he has a removal spell for it, because I'll gladly trade the Crusader for the arms dealer. He plays out a Rummaging Goblin, which wasn't that big a deal to me, and passes the turn back. We draw an Arctic Haven, which was a really nice draw for us, and we play it out. We swing in for 2, and I believe he takes it if I remember correctly. Yep. And then on our turn, we just re-equip the Arctic Aven, because we definitely want to save that if possible, because the lifelink is going to help us a lot, and then eventually it'll go out of arms dealer range. He can try, what I'm saying at this point is that he can 2-for-1 himself to try to kill our Arctic Aven, because we can only give it hexproof once. But he decides to kill the Crusader of Odric, which I felt like was a pretty big mistake, because once this Arctic Aven gets past a certain point, once we untap, it's never going to die, and we're always just going to give it lifelink. So he's going to have a real hard time outracing us. We draw Archaeomancer. We could get back unsummoned, but I felt like it was better for us to leave up as much mana as possible, because at this point I'm going to give it lifelink with the 1 planes, and I give it lifelink with the 1 planes, and then I can give it hexproof 3 times. So he would need to have 4 removal spells to kill it at this point, and there's no way he's going to outrace a growing Arctic Aven that has active lifelink. We also have safe passage just in case it really comes down to that. But in any case, he swings in for 4, which was fine. With us, it just drops us back down to our original life at 12. He plays out a Rummaging Goblin. At this point, it's looking pretty good for us. I don't see us really losing this game, but in any case, I play out that island because with Archaeomancer out, I want as much mana as possible, because I'd like to Archaeomancer for a spell and then play it on the same turn. But in any case, I just swing in and give my guy lifelink once again. He is going to swing in for 5 damage here, I believe. And he is going to try to sacrifice out his guys to kill our Arctic Aven, but we still have the hexproof guys, so it doesn't really matter. We still have the hexproof ring, so it doesn't matter. What he does is he tries to sacrifice out his Rummaging Goblin, we give it hexproof, and then he tries to hope that we don't know that we can give it hexproof again, and just abuse the stack in that way. But we do, and then he proceeds to scoop. Considering his deck, I go back and look at his round 1, or his round 2 rather, and I sort of just look to see if he's playing another color, because he did mull to 5, so it is possible that he was just screwed off of mana. He did submit a deck, though, and I didn't want to make him wait, because I always feel like that's rude. I always think that my opponent is duo queuing, which is really bad. So in any case, I figure that the Jace's Phantasm is going to be pretty weak against him, because he has Goblin Arsonist, and he looks like a pretty aggressive deck. So I don't want the Jace's Phantasm in there. I actually want the Scroll Thief, because it has 3 toughness, which is going to be nice to block. Other than that, I didn't remember me really wanting to do anything else. At this point, I see Goblin Arsonist double the Krenko's command, and I just sort of assumed that he's mono red, which was wrong, because then in this subsequent game, I find out that he's actually red-green with some pretty solid green creatures. In any case, we draw a 6-land hand with Windrake, which is not even remotely keepable, so we do mulligan. And we draw a hand that is much better. Welkin turn, Windrake, Arctic Haven. As long as we draw planes, we are definitely set. He plays a Goblin Arsonist on turn 1, which is okay. The same thing that he did last game, or almost the same thing. We play out our island, hoping to unsummon anything else to save ourselves some damage. He plays a Krenko's command, which we're not going to bother unsummoning a token, just to save ourselves 1 damage. We're just going to play out the Welkin turn on our turn, and then try to race him in the sky, because of the turn after that we can play the Windrake. So he plays out another forest, and he swings in, dropping us to 16, and he doesn't do much else. So I'm not really thinking about much here. I just sort of assumed that he just didn't have a turn 3 play. So I swing in and I play the Windrake, because that's really our only play. I don't want to play out the Arctic Haven without the planes right now. I don't feel like it's necessary. I'd rather just have the 2/2, that guy that can block one of his goblin tokens. Unfortunately, he has Flames of the Firebrand, which is a really bad 2-for-1 for us. And at this point, we're hurting for a land. Because if we don't draw a land soon, we're going to be pretty in trouble. So here, I draw Scroll Thief, which is okay. I play out the Scroll Thief because it's going to be able to block. If that was Jace's Phantasm, it would be absolutely terrible because it would only trade with a token. Or probably the Goblin Arsonist. And do nothing, but here it's going to save us a lot more damage. So we draw for our turn, and we don't draw anything. So here I figure I need to swing in to try to draw a card. I'll try to take out a token. Here I do think he should have double blocked with Goblin Arsonist and a Goblin token. I would have taken out the Arsonist, but he would have traded an Arsonist for a Scroll Thief, which I felt like was, fine because we're definitely screwed off of our lands. And it'll take out a guy that blocks pretty well and is also drawing us a card. I guess he could have assumed that we were not land screwed, but we definitely were. So I thought he should have double blocked there with the Goblin Arsonist and the Goblin. He swings in for 4, and he drops us down to 9. There's nothing much that we can really do about that. The good thing right now is that because he is also mana screwed, he can only Goblin Arsonist once a turn, which is definitely solid. So here he chooses to shoot our Scroll Thief with one of his Goblin tokens, and we choose to unsummon his Goblin Arsonist in the hopes that we can draw out a Plains and then Arctic Aven the next turn, and then equip it and have enough mana to give it hexproof. Because since he is stuck on 3 lands, that Arms Dealer is going to take 2 turns to activate, and we were hoping that we could draw either another land to basically give our Arctic Aven hexproof. In any case, he had the Searing Spear for us, which was bad, so I was not expecting him to have that removal spell. But he swings in for 2, and drops us down to 7. We play our turn, we draw, and we draw Plains, which is nice. We play out the Vedalken Entrancer, because it's going to block better than the Attended Knights or the War Priest. And it also allows us to start trying to mill him, because he can't attack effectively against us. He replays out a Goblin Arsonist that we bounced, and can't do much else. Our Vedalken Entrancer grows and we draw Safe Passage, which is nice. We don't really have a choice if we want to start going on the mill plan, but we other than to play the War Priest of Thune. And we just sit back and try to hope that we start drawing ways to get out of it, because that Arms Dealer is just doing a lot of work against us. In any case, he still can't swing in effectively, so he passes the turn back. Oh, he actually plays the Mogflunk Thieves, I'm sorry. And then we decide to mill him for 2, and we see Goblin Battle Jester, and Furnace Whelp, I believe that is. It's a little bit smaller on my screen. In any case, we do draw a land, which allows us to play Attended Knight and also leave up Hexproof for the Vedalken Entrancer as well as mill, so we play out the Attended Knight with not much else to do. He still hasn't drawn the mountain at this point, so I'm thinking that he can only activate Arms Dealer once, which is definitely still positive for us. But he's got so many small ground guys, low-costed, aggressive ground guys, that it's not looking good for us. Fortunately, we do have the Safe Passage, so I'm still thinking that we're definitely in this game, as long as we can hopefully mill him out, because I don't think we're going to kill him off damage. We draw a land, which doesn't help our cause at all. In any case, we don't have much to do here but sit back and try to block as much as possible. He grows his Chronometon, which doesn't really matter to us, and passes the turn back. He then proceeds to play Goblin Battle Jester, which is definitely going to be a big problem for us. And at this point I'm thinking that we need to draw probably another creature to effectively block, and then we can safe passage and hopefully take out enough of his guys. In any case, we do choose to pass the turn right back, and he plays out a second mountain, so now I'm thinking he can arms dealer twice, which is not good for us. I'm also thinking that next turn the Delkin Enchanter will be a 6/9, which will be able to deal with 3 hits from the arms dealer, which we're fine with. So then I'm thinking that maybe I should re-equip to the Attendant Knight, because it's a decently effective blocker. Here he plays out Volcanic Geyser, making it so that our Attendant Knight can't block, dropping us down to 4. Luckily we still have the safe passage, which is gonna help us trade for his most important creatures. So at this point, he only has 3 cards in hand, and I have to hope that he doesn't have any more burn spells like Chandra's Fury, or else I'm just dead. I can't play around cards like that at this point. We're at too low of life. So at this point, his most important creatures are the Goblin Battle Jester, the Arms Dealer, and then after that it doesn't really matter. So here I throw the War Priest of Thune, or I'm thinking about it, but the Soldier Token goes in front of the Goblin Arms Dealer, the War Priest of Thune goes in front of the Battle Jester, and here I wonder if I should block the Chronometon or the Mog Flunkies. Originally I stated that Chronometon can grow bigger, and that makes me more scared of it, but I had the Vidalcan Enchanter as a 5/8 already, so like the chances of Chronometon ever getting that big were small, so I just took out the Mog Flunkies to try to save us more damage, maybe a little bit later. And then we choose the safe passage. Another option at this point may have been to safe passage the Volcanic Geyser, but then we wouldn't have been able to trade for his creatures as effectively as we did there, which was definitely not good. So here we draw and we play. We draw Fairy Invaders. Our Vidalcan Enchanter is big enough where I feel like having the Attendant Knight being equipped with the Hex Roof was better, and I also feel like we can also just play the Fairy Invaders at this point. Unfortunately, he has a second Volcanic Geyser to deal the last bit of damage to us, and unfortunately we lose that game. It was unfortunate because we were cut off mana for a bit. I think we missed 2 or 3 land drops, so we couldn't really do much, but in any case, I don't believe that I add anything in at this point. If there were a card that I were going to bring in, it would probably be the Augur Bullets because it blocks very well, but I choose not to, and here, this hand is perfectly fine. We have a 2, 3, and 4 drop, so we're not going to mulligan, and we play out our island and pass the turn to bluff the unsummon that we don't have in hand. On our turn, we don't draw a 2-drop, but we have the ring, so we just play that out. And then we pass right back. He has nothing for us on turn 2, and he passes back to us. And then from here it's pretty simple. We play out the Windrake because equipping it to the ring is better for us next turn. And also, I like the evasion and being able to get in for 2. I feel like it's just better. On turn 3, he also has nothing for us. So at this point, I'm thinking he kept a very loose hand, or he has a very removal heavy hand. So at this point, I don't want to equip first because that'll lose us damage. So I swing in for 2 first to get in the damage, and then I try to bait out the removal spell by equipping the ring to the Windrake. The other play here was to just play out the Primal Clay, which may have been correct, but here he did have the Searing Spear for me. So I felt like equipping the ring there was nice because if that did stick, we would definitely be in a good position, and even if it didn't, we could still play out the Attendant Knight and be okay. He plays out a Primal Hunt Beast, and passes the turn back to us. We can't swing in here, but we're probably just going to play out the Fairy Invaders on next turn and then start equipping that. He swings in for 3 against us. We're not going to play out the Fairy Invaders to try to block because it's more important that we just have that card do its thing. And then I think he plays out a creature here. I believe it was a spiked Bala. Yep, that's right. And we play out the Fairy Invaders, knowing that he doesn't have the removal spell to get rid of the hexproof in time. We draw for our turn and draw an Arctic Haven, which is nice. In any case, we equip the ring first to give our guy hexproof, and then proceed to swing in for 3. I'm also thinking that at this point that I don't need to play out the Arctic Haven quite yet. I'd rather leave up the hexproof mana. Or do I? No, yes, that's exactly what I was thinking. At this point I was thinking Attendant Knight is going to be able to block Spike Bala pretty well. And if he has a removal spell, he has a removal spell, and we can always chump block with the soldier to his Primal Hunt Beast and save ourselves 3 damage anyway, so playing out the Arctic Haven I felt like wasn't as important as getting our Arctic Haven out of 3 damage range, which is what Volcanic Geyser and Searing Spear do. In any case, he had a Goblin Battle Jester, and a Goblin Arsonist to take out our Attendant Knight. So here we do have to block. Like I was saying, it's basically like a removal spell, so we save ourselves 3 damage, and we drop down to 13. On our turn, we go to, our Fairy Invaders goes to a 4/4, and I think about whether I want to play the Attendant Knight or the Arctic Haven. I think about swinging, well, the first thing I do is swing first, and he's at 11, which means that he's on a 2-turn clock considering our Fairy Invaders. So at this point, I think to myself that I want to play defense more than anything else. So I play the Attendant Knight because the 2 first strikers are going to be able to block his board pretty well. Because he only has 1 Goblin Battle Jester, and unless he has a lot of red spells in hand, he's not going to be able to take out both of them. So he plays out a 2nd Goblin Battle Jester, and at this point I'm thinking that I'm definitely in trouble. In any case, he swings in with the 3/3. This was a mistake on my part because I don't think I blocked here when I should have blocked with the soldier token to save myself 3 damage. That was definitely a big mistake on my part. And it probably would have made a difference if I didn't draw the card that I just drew, which was Safe Passage, which basically made the game mine because he couldn't do anything about the fact that my guy had hexproof, so he couldn't kill it, and he's not playing blue, so he can't negate or counter my Safe Passage. If I hadn't have drawn that there, that soldier, not blocking with a soldier would have cost me the game. In fact, he had 3, 7, 9, 10, 12 damage, so he would not have had enough assuming he didn't have a burn spell in hand, which I think he would have played out right here if he did have it, which he didn't. So he plays out 1 Krankos command, making our Attendant Knights not block, and then he plays out, I think, another Krankos command to make it so that our soldier can't block. And in the end, that blocking damage would have cost us the game if, not blocking there would have cost us the game if we hadn't gotten lucky and drawn our 1 outer. But sometimes that's magic. It was definitely a big play mistake on my part. I did it last turn. I blocked his Primal Hunt Beast with another soldier token, so there's no reason to think that I wouldn't just do it again. He asks us if we have Safe Passage, and I don't reply until he attacks because I don't want him to change his play based on what I say. He says lol, and I'm saying GG, and a kind of meh face because I know that I did get lucky to win this game. I prevent all the damage. I'm still at 10, and my flyer goes to 6, and he is dead at this point. And I think he just waits to see if I choose to swing correctly or not. And we win that one, and we're up to 4. I'm personally up to 4 QPs right now. I've won 4 drafts in about 2 days. I draft a lot, if you guys don't know. I draft about 2 to 3, probably closer to 3, sometimes 4 times a day. Lately, because I've just been, I've had off for the past week or 2, and school's started for me today. So I've just been on a M13 tear, but I do really well in the drafts, which is very nice. But in any case, I hope you guys enjoyed the drafts very well. We did pretty well, and I hope you guys check out all the other great stuff on the MTGO site. I hope you guys enjoyed. Make sure to check out So You Think You Can Cast, and I'll see you guys next time.